Hey, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you guys how I'm going to go about making some things that I need to use in my RV, and it's all going to be based around essential oils. So my cleaners, what I need to help with allergens, to keep the air fresh, to keep the linen fresh, and I'm actually going to do it in a couple of different steps with a couple of different types of bottles because I don't need big bottles for everything and I don't need little bottles for everything. So I'm going to kind of give you an idea of what my setup is, and then we're going to go through each of them one by one. So the oils I'm going to be using today are Young Living oils. I use them because they're super reputable. You have to be really careful when it comes to what oils you're using because they can of course be diluted. I'm sure you guys already know that. So these are just the ones that we're going to be using today. Lemon, of course, Thieves is the go-to for everything, and I actually haven't even broken the seal on that one today, so we're going to go ahead and break the seal on our Thieves. This is the almond oil that we're going to be using, so you always want to have a carrier. This is orange peel that has been soaking in vinegar, and this I'm going to be using for my cleaner. A lot of the cleaners call for 1 part water, 1 part white vinegar, and I just want the extra step and went ahead and soaked some orange peel so that I can get all those wonderful microbial properties out of it and into my cleaner. So what I'm going to be doing today is just kind of a culmination of a whole bunch of different resources that I've been researching and looking up to actually see what's going to work best for my family. This is alcohol, one of the recipes to clean the linen. Hold on, my baby. The recipe to clean the linen actually calls for a teaspoon of vodka, and I don't have vodka, but I do have alcohol, and it was a good substitute. So we're just going to go ahead and use that. A dropper is going to really help to make sure that my recipes are more accurate. The rollers we're going to use for one recipe. That's going to be for an allergen tamer. Then we have some smaller spray bottles, and that's what I'm going to use to make the linen cleaner. And then these are my big bottles. And the big bottles, one is going to be for my air freshener and one is going to be for my cleaner. There are my labels, and of course nothing gets done in my house without coffee, which you can see is just about finished. Big up to New York! New York freaking in the house! Sorry. I love my home. Anyway, so this is my setup. This is what we're going to be using. That's the box that everything came in. Thanks a lot, Amazon. And there goes my baby who just escaped from his playpen. So we're going to put him back in the playpen. Ah! And then we're going to sit down and we are going to make some oils. You want to go outside, boy? You want to go outside? Yeah? That's how you go? In keeping with the how-to theme of this episode, how do you get anything done when you live in such a small space? Well, you kick everybody out. And we're so blessed that we have such a versatile playpen. I highly recommend it. It's really easy to get in and out of the doors. It folds up, it's super lightweight, and it keeps him pretty confined when he allows it. And of course, if we're a little bit more stern with him that, hey, you cannot come out, then he does, of course, stay put, which is really great. So that's going to solve the get out of my RV problem so that I can get something done. And they all seem pretty content out there. They're really close by, and it's easy to keep an ear out for them, and I can see them from just about anywhere in the RV. So today I'm going to be working from right here, where I can keep an eye on my baby, and go ahead and show you how to make these essential oil recipes. The first recipe that we're going to do is work on the all-purpose cleaner, because I'm going to be using this the most. It's just the one I want to get out of the way first, and it's the simplest one. It's 1 part vinegar, 1 part water, oils. That's it. We're going to use distilled water. We're going to use the orange peel vinegar that I've had soaking for the past 24 hours. And we're going to use Thieves. What's in Thieves? So I went through a couple different recipes that I'm going to be using today. And then I wrote down what was in them so that you know. Because it's one thing to just say Thieves, but what is Thieves? What all is in it? So Thieves has clove in it, lemon in it, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. And I could have just bought all 5 of those and just started like pouring away, which would have been a whole lot more expensive. Or I could just let them do the work for me by the bottle and then go from there. So that's what I did. The cleaner calls for like 10 to 15 drops. For this particular one, I mean, I can go in here and actually pull the drops out. I don't really need to because I can just pour it in. But for things like the almond oil and the carrier, where it's like, how do you measure drops versus oil, the dropper is super helpful. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. So I'm going to put 15 drops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I think 16 came out of that. You can see it's still really full. It doesn't take a lot to make these things. And oh my gosh, it smells amazing already. Sorry, I just want to look in there to see exactly how much it is. So next thing I'm going to do is just put my distilled water, which I've already measured out. It's 1 cup. I'm going to do this over the sink because I imagine I'm going to make a mess. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take my vinegar. I haven't gotten to smell it yet. It smells amazing. It smells potent, but amazing. I'm going to take this, measure out a cup. Let's see what happens. Awesome. Peel out, we don't need that. And then I'm going to stick it in my bottle that already has the oil in it and the 1 cup of distilled water. And that's literally it. It's a 16-ounce bottle, so with 1 part vinegar and 1 part water, both 1 cup each, it fills up the bottle. Now, of course, I had spilled some when I was trying to pour, which I knew I was going to do. So it was only up to about here. So what I did was just add a little bit more vinegar, a little bit more water, both equal parts, and just dumped it in. So that's it. My cleaner is ready. It's full, and I can clean the whole house. So the next one we're going to do is my air freshener. Again, we're going to be using distilled water. And this recipe calls for lemongrass, lemon, tea tree, and eucalyptus. I'm going to be putting 5 drops of each one. That'll give me a total of 20 drops of oils inside of this recipe. And this is really just to spray in the air, and it kind of just grabs all the funk that's in the air and absorbs it. It's much better than using air fresheners and putting all those chemicals that smell good because they've added all kinds of fragrances to them. But really you're just putting more junk into the air for you to breathe. And in RVs, it's not like we have like a great ventilation system where all that stuff doesn't just stick around. It's there, it's lingering, and it's in our lungs, and I'm just not interested. And I have a dog, so it's just all, she takes all the allergens from outside and she brings them in, she gets to shaking, and then it's everywhere, and so I spray everything. But I won't use Febreze or any of those air fresheners because there's just no point. That smells so good. I'm just going to take my big gallon of distilled water. I don't really have to measure it out because I'm just going to fill the rest of it up. And you can diffuse these oils and get the exact same result. You just have to do it a couple of times a day and do it in different rooms. For me, it doesn't make any sense for me to take a diffuser and diffuse it here and diffuse it there, and, you know, or have multiple diffusers going. And I'm just going to take my spray everywhere a couple times a day, just keep the air fresh and keep it moving. That's it. Air freshener. Done. For this recipe, we're actually going to use one of the smaller bottles because I don't need it as much. I'm just going to be using it to spritz the linen. So this is going to keep the kids' linen fresh, the living room, my bedroom, all of that stuff. And this is the recipe that I actually called for vodka, and I don't have any vodka. But if you have vodka, you can give me your vodka, and then I will have vodka. In the meantime, what I do have is alcohol, and it called for a teaspoon of it. So I have a little teaspoon here. It's a half a teaspoon measurement, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump this in there. There's one. And there's 2. So it's not very much. And really, you can barely smell it once everything else gets added to it. Of course, that's all I smell right now, but that won't last very long. So it's for 24 drops of lavender and 14 drops of cedarwood and 10 of sweet orange. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then the rest is just distilled water, and that's it. Okay, we have all our drops in. I didn't want to put you through the painful process of watching 24 drops come out at a time, but as you can see, the rest, distilled water again. So let's see how much of this I spill. Yay! It doesn't look like it's going to be very much. Balls. Like a drop. And that's it. Spray for the linen. Next. The last one that I'm going to do today is actually just going to be a roller. The roller is going to be for allergies because we all deal with them over here. Especially me and Blue. We wake up with sore throats, runny noses, itchy eyes. And so this is just something that we're going to be able to use to kind of just tame all that down. And this is where the carrier oil comes in. This is where I'm not going to try to like pour it in because it's going to get everywhere. So that's where this beautiful little dropper is really going to come into handy for us. So for this one, we're going to be using eucalyptus, tea tree, peppermint, and lemon. And I'll probably put just a few drops of each. I don't have a specific recipe as far as drops are concerned. I'm just going to go with my gut feeling and everything else that I make, that it's pretty much like 10% oil, 90% everything else. So I'll put a couple of drops of these 4 in here and then add my carrier, and that's it. 3 drops of those 4 kind of put me right about there. Looks like you can see it. And so now, rather than trying to pour in an oil and make a mess, I don't mind trying to pour distilled water, that's not a big deal, but I'm not going to even try doing that with an oil. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my drops. And I can actually go ahead and count exactly how many drops are going to be in this, which is one of the great things about the dropper. You can really get a gauge of how many drops of oil versus carrier, and a lot of recipes call for that. For this one, I'm just going to kind of go for it. So, but for anybody who really wants to count those drops, this is a nice thing to use. And so I'm also not putting a whole ton of oil either too, because obviously this is being used on a tiny person, and you always want to just be a little bit more mindful of how you're using those oils with small people versus big people. So in honesty, I may make this one just for me and make her a separate one, but look at me trying to cover up my roller. I'll get the top for the roller. These are for the oils, and then that's it for this. Really super simple and easy. This is the top for the oil. So you can see it's just a little roller ball. Stick it right on top there. Cap it. Done. One more roller that I'm going to make, and this one is actually just going to be for me, is something for my arm. So I'm a sonographer. I'm constantly assaulting my rotator cuffs with this motion like this all the time and pushing. So I'm holding my arm up for hours on end, and I'm also exerting force. So that can become extremely taxing for the muscles in my arm. And so clove, peppermint, and lavender are the oils that I'm going to be using for this particular mixture. And it's really just to help tame the muscles, help with promoting blood flow, and really just bringing warmth and relaxation. And these have analgesics in it, anti-inflammatory properties, and so they're going to be my go-to roller for my arm. So it's my lavender. My peppermint. And my clove. So this, I actually put 5 of each drop. Again, this is just a culmination of a couple of different recipes that I look up in different reputable sources, because nobody seems to have like all the answers in one spot the way I want them to solve all my problems. Everybody has just mixtures of different things and different pieces of advice. So I'll find like 4 or 5 different reputable sources and kind of pull from each of them what I think would be best for my needs and for my family's needs, and then I just kind of go from there. Okay. She's out of it done. That's a lot of strain. And she just cracks out. She's so funny. Again, top it with your roller, close it up, and have a good day. While I was making essential oils, all of the babies found their way into the playpen. And you can tell just how spacious it is with the 10-year-old and the 3-year-old in there as well with the baby. Just an absolute awesome investment. And when I get a moment next, I will go ahead and actually show you how we use it in the living room. You can see how we use it outside, and we use it for bedtime too, so it's great. So that's it. All of my oils that I'll be using came from just those 10 beautiful little bottles, and I used almond oil as my carrier. And we have muscles, and that's going to be for my shoulder. I will freshen your air is going to be my air freshener. For the linen will be for the beds. Use me to clean with, please, is obviously my cleaner. And by allergies is going to be the rollers that we use to tame our allergies. And that's it. That is e.o.s in an RV for me.